This is a really beautiful stitch called the smock stitch. It has a superficial resemblance to the honeycomb stitch, but it is very different in the way it is created. The pattern for the smock stitch is created by doing two Tunisian simple stitches together, followed by yarn unders. It is a bit fiddly to do at first, but once the muscle memory kicks in, it is fairly straightforward. The smock stitch requires an equal number of stitches and is a 2-row repeat. So for this swatch I chained 10 to create a Tunisian foundation row of 10 stitches. I'm just completing the return pass here. So the first thing we do is two simple stitches together. So I'm going to push the hook behind the second and third vertical bars, yarn over and pull up a loop. So we've now lost a stitch, so I need to do a yarn under. So move the hook behind the yarn, then hold the yarn in place over the front of the hook, and now insert the hook behind the next two vertical bars, yarn over and bring up a loop, and then do exactly the same thing for the next two stitches. So a yarn under, hold the yarn firmly in place with index finger, push the hook behind the next two vertical bars, yarn over and pull up a loop. And for the next stitch do exactly the same, yarn under, hold the yarn firmly in place over the front of the hook, push the hook behind the next two vertical bars, yarn over and pull up a loop. So now there should be 8 loops on the hook. So there is one stitch remaining, so do a yarn under, hold the yarn firmly in place, push the hook through the marked space at the end of the row, yarn over and pull up the last loop, and now let go of the yarn that was being secured by the index finger. Now there will be 10 loops on the hook. Now for the return pass. So as always I like to mark the space for the last stitch of the next forward pass, so we do a chain 1, mark the space between the two vertical bars at the left and one vertical bar on the right, and now yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and keep going until there is 1 loop left on the hook. Next forward pass starts with just one simple stitch. So insert the hook behind the second vertical bar from the end, yarn over, pull up a loop, and now 2 Tunisian simple stitches together without yarning under. So push the hook behind the next 2 vertical bars, yarn over and pull up a loop. And now we have lost 1 stitch, so we need to compensate by doing a yarn under, hold the yarn firmly in place over the front of the hook, push the hook behind the next 2 vertical bars, yarn over and pull up a loop. Next stitch, yarn under, hold the yarn firmly in place, insert the hook behind the next two vertical bars, yarn over and pull up a loop. For the next stitch, yarn under, insert the hook under this remaining vertical bar that is not so vertical anymore, it's a bit slanted. Push the hook behind it, yarn over and pull up a loop. There are 9 loops left on the hook, so we just need to do the final stitch into the marked space without a yarn under, yarn over and pull up a loop, so there are now 10 loops on the hook. Now chain 1 and mark the space for the end of the next forward pass and do a normal Tunisian crochet return. So you can see the pattern of the smock stitch starting to manifest itself. So now we just push the hook behind the next two vertical bars, yarn over, pull up a loop, now yarn under, push the hook behind the next two vertical bars, yarn over and pull up a loop, and just continue this until the fabric is of the required size. A couple of top tips. Number one, if you don't hold the yarn firmly in place on the hook for the yarn unders, then you'll end up doing a purl stitch that will wreck the smock stitch pattern. Tip number 2 is keep a close eye on the stitch count. And just a reminder that if one row of the smock stitch starts with a simple stitch, then the next row of the smock stitch forward pass starts with 2 simple stitches together, then the row after that will start with a simple stitch, etc. I'm just completing the last return pass for this swatch of smock stitch. It is a really beautiful stitch and quite easy to do once you get the hang, particularly of the yarn unders, and it works up pretty quickly, and as you can see works particularly well with a very chunky yarn.